Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Football. Best match day 3 limitless team. Some of you still have your limitless, many of you still have your limitless. I wish I still had mine. I used mine in match day 2, didn't really go to plan because the likes of Arsenal didn't really deliver, the likes of Bayern Munich didn't really deliver. So it was a disappointing one. But if you still have your limitless chip, you have an opportunity to really close the gap, or if you're already ahead, to just extend the gap. So I've picked out the best 15 players for this match day. Obviously, you can make a couple of changes if you feel like a particular team is going to do better than the other one. You can always do that. So in terms of my predictions, that will be later on in the week. But as always, make sure to join the league if you haven't yet. The link is in the description, both the prediction league and the UCL fantasy league. And obviously, if you want your team rated and a few other videos, you can join the Patreon. The link is also in the description. So let's get straight into it. The best match day 3 limitless team. So I've taken some time in terms of coming up with this team, because there's some teams that you think you really need to target, some teams I've decided to avoid because of different circumstances. But the first team, let's start with the goalkeepers. And for the goalkeepers, I have decided to go with Jan Sommer. I had him in my wildcard team as well. And finally, Ederson. So Jan Sommer against Salzburg at home, I think that is a good fixture. If it doesn't work out, you have Ederson on the other day. Surely, if Man City don't keep a clean sheet against Young Boys, surely Inter Milan are going to keep a clean sheet against Salzburg. Like, if these two particular goalkeepers don't keep, at least one of them keeps a clean sheet this week, it's going to be a disaster. There's obviously other goalkeepers like Oblak of Atletico Madrid is playing against Celtic away from home. You can always go for the Barcelona goalkeeper is playing against Shakhtar at home. Ter Stegen. You can go for Rare, maybe Arsenal playing away at Sevilla. There's different options. Even Onana, if you're daring enough to go for Onana at home against Copenhagen, there's different options you can go for. But for this week, I have gone for Ederson and Jan Sommer. So those are my goalkeepers. Let me know if you're picking any of them. Defensively, let's go with let's start with Dumfries. So I have gone for Dumfries as my first option. As you notice, that is a double up on Inter Milan against Salzburg. Dumfries this season, Inter Milan have already kept one clean sheet in the Champions League, and they've only conceded one goal. And Dumfries is always an attacking threat. Now, obviously, didn't really return those attacking returns that we wanted against Real Sociedad and against Benfica. But I think like away at Real Sociedad is a tougher fixture than Salzburg at home. So hoping this time around he can do something. He's currently selected by 13%. Again, he can always keep a clean sheet. If he doesn't, he can get you ball recoveries and he can always go forward and get an assist or score. The second defender I have gone for on this limitless chip is from, let's go to Barcelona. Barcelona have already kept 2 clean sheets so far this season in both games, and Cancelo is almost a cheat code in the league this season. In the Champions League, he's already scored, he's already assisted a couple, he's already kept clean sheets as well, and he's already scored 15 points in the Champions League this season. He's selected by 42%. So even if you're not playing a limitless, I think Cancelo needs to be in your team. Very, very good option. If you're daring enough, you want to go for a double up, the likes of Kunde could be options as well. But I think Cancelo could be enough for this match day against Shakhtar Donetsk at home. The next player I have gone for, something I've not talked about with Cancelo, ball recoveries as well. He's picked up 12 ball recoveries already, and he picked up 9 in the last match. In one match, he picked up 9 ball recoveries. So that is an extra 4 points. So that is another reason I have gone for him. Next up, let's go to AC Milan. We've already gone for an Inter Milan defender. Let's go to their neighbors, and that is Theo Hernandez. Now, I've gone for Theo Hernandez. AC Milan, they've not scored this season, but they've also not conceded. They kept a clean sheet against Newcastle, and they kept a clean sheet against Dortmund, which is a very, very good return. Next up is a tough fixture away at PSG. I have considered going with the AC Milan goalkeeper instead of the AC Milan defender. So Mayan instead of Hernandez, especially because he can get you save points against PSG. The likes of Mbappe will have shots. The likes of Gonzalo Ramos will have shots. So if he ends up keeping a clean sheet away at PSG, he can easily get you 3 saves or 6 saves or something like that. So that is as an option you can go for. But for this one, I have gone for Theo Hernandez as a defender because he can get you attacking returns. 2 clean sheets so far, as I said. He's also picked up 7 ball recoveries. So that is my pick defensively. Next up, I have gone for an Arsenal defender against Sevilla. Now, I do think Sevilla have a good chance of scoring in this fixture, but Arsenal away from home, they do keep a lot of clean sheets. So I'd not be surprised if Arsenal kept a clean sheet away at Sevilla. So, and Sevilla have also changed their manager recently, so maybe they could have new manager bounce, but they could also they might not as well. So that could allow Arsenal to keep a clean sheet. So Saliba is my option there. You can always go for Ben White or Gabriel, and Saliba is not a rotation risk. The others could be. Another thing I forgot to mention about Cancelo is that he's playing the first fixture on the Wednesday. So if any players that doesn't start from Barcelona, you can always leave them on the bench or whatever. So I've gone for Saliba as my fourth pick away at Sevilla. So Saliba, Sevilla. The last defender I've gone for is a differential. So I've gone for a Newcastle defender. It's a differential, but I don't even know if it is a differential. Let me just confirm that. I'm not seeing how many people own him. I know in FPL it's definitely not a differential, so 7%. So it's still a differential. Kieran Trippier. I'm guessing people looked at the fixtures and they're like, nah, I'm not going to go for Trippier. He's playing against PSG, Dortmund, AC Milan. Well, he got an assist against PSG. He kept a clean sheet against AC Milan. I'd not be surprised if they kept a clean sheet against Dortmund or even scores or assists. So 6 million, Kieran Trippier, very, very good option. That is a differential pick in terms of this defense. Now, Dumfries, Cancelo, Theo Hernandez, Saliba, Trippier. You don't have to go for this particular 5. I think Cancelo has to be in your team, though. The rest, I think you can always change. You can go for Gabriel or Ben White instead of Saliba. You feel like Newcastle against Dortmund, they're not going to keep a clean sheet. You can always go for someone different, but I feel like Chip is going to have a good week. Theo Hernandez, you can go for the goalkeeper instead and go for someone else in the Theo Hernandez spot. Bayern Munich, if you want Alphonso Davies away at Galatasaray is an option. If you want 2 Arsenal defenders, you can go for that. You're daring enough. Do you want to go for my United defender? That could be an option as well. But the likes of Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan are the teams I would be targeting for this week. Remember, I'd already doubled up on Inter Milan defense, so I've gone for Sommer. So I think 3 is a bit too much. So that is the defense. Midfield-wise, just like I said in the wildcard video, there's no talk here. You have to go for Bellingham first. Bellingham has to be in your team, whether you're playing a limitless or they introduce a free hit in Champions League Fantasy. You just have to have Bellingham in your team. He is too good. He's scoring, he's assisting, he's getting player of the match every single game he's playing for club and country. He's also getting ball recoveries, so you have to have him in your team. And where is he here? Bellingham. It should be much higher. 7.6. I obviously don't have to worry about the budget in terms of the limitless chip, but 3 attacking returns already this season and 2 player of the match awards in the Champions League. So he's returned big the past 2 games already in the Champions League. Next up, Leroy Sané is who I've gone for from Bayern Munich. They disappointed me last time when I played my limitless, but I think it's Galatasaray are conceding goals in the Champions League and Bayern Munich are scoring, so I wouldn't be surprised if they score at least 2. Galatasaray have conceded at least 2 goals in the 2 games, so Sané, I don't think they'll go quite for too many games. I have gone for Sané. Next up, I have gone for Odegaard of Arsenal. You can always go for Saka instead, but since he's been injured recently, I think Odegaard is a definite starter. And if Saka is not there, Odegaard is on penalties, so that is a good option as well. And he's always starting and playing at least 80 minutes for Arsenal. Most of the time, he's playing the whole game for Arsenal, so Odegaard is not a rotation risk at all. So I have gone for him. And Odegaard in their away games, like against the likes of last season, in their away games, he did incredibly well against Newcastle, Tottenham, Bournemouth, all those guys. And this season already, he scored away at Crystal Palace. He had like 3 attacking returns against Bournemouth away from home, so he's very good away from home, Odegaard. So I have gone for him there. And then the next 2 midfielders, again, you can always go for someone like a Musiala from Bayern Munich if you prefer. You can go for Saka and Odegaard together if you prefer, although I think Sevilla is a tough fixture. Some would go for Bruno Fernandes if you prefer. That is absolutely fine. But I have gone for Barcelona. I think they have a very good fixture, and I have gone for Gundogan. I think very good fixture. Player of the match last game against FC Porto. He assisted, and obviously he can always score, he can always assist. In fact, he's assisted in both games so far in the Champions League. And I think you have to have at least a couple of Barcelona players against Shakhtar. So Gundogan is a pick there, kind of a differential pick. You don't really have to go for him, as I said. there's other options you can go for. You can double up on Bayern Munich in midfield. You can double up on Arsenal in midfield. You can go for Man United midfielder. Which other team could go for this week? Real Madrid, maybe if you want someone like a Valverde, could be an option as well. The last midfielder I have gone for is I've looked at the fixture, and I think Leipzig have a very good fixture. I didn't go for any of their defenders or their goalkeeper in this limitless cheap team, so I have gone for Xavi Simons in midfield. You can always go for someone different. You can always go for Openda up front instead, the striker. But I have gone for Xavi Simons here. Again, I think Bellingham has to be in your team. I think Son is 80% has to be in your team. I think you need to have like at least one Arsenal player in midfield, and then the others, Gundogan and Siemens, literally up to you. You can always go for a different Barcelona midfielder. You can triple up on any other team, double up any other team. You can go for a Real Madrid midfielder instead, literally up to you. You can avoid the Leipzig midfield and go for someone else as well. But that is the midfield. And then the forward line, lastly, I have gone for the usual player I think has to be in your team whichever way. Erling Haaland is in my team. Even if he goes on a drought of 5 games, he can always come back and score a hat-trick. Haaland is my first pick. And then next up, I think Bayern Munich, as I said about when I was talking about Sane, they're always going to score goals, and Kane always scores goals. He's on penalties, he's scoring for England, scoring for Bayern Munich. If you're not playing a limitless chip, it is tough to afford. It's impossible to afford this team. So if you're playing a limitless, I think Harry Kane is a kind of player who will score against Galatasaray. Even if they lose, Harry Kane will be in the score sheet. So I've gone for him. And then final pick, I've gone for a Barcelona player. You can go for Lewandowski, but I have selected Joao Felix in this one. But Lewandowski is always a good option as well. At home to Shakhtar Donetsk. Again, up front, there's other options like Gabriel Jesus, there's Højlund, there's Alvarez for Man City if you prefer, although they're cheaper. So if you want to go for those cheaper players, you don't really have to play a limitless. This is a team where obviously there's something about the limitless. You don't really have to go for every single expensive player and forget about the cheaper ones like Bellingham, Alvarez, people like that. But again, you can't play a limitless and then go for 10 cheaper players. You rather just not play your limitless, because this allows you to have all the big players in the team in the same week. Kane, Haaland, Sane, all those players. So you can always go for Morata as well. They have a good fixture away at Celtic or Griezmann, whoever you want. But I have gone for Joao Felix. Now, as I said, you have different options. You can double up in any other team. You can go for Alphonso Davies instead. You can go for Saka instead. And there's many other options that you can go for. But that is the best limitless team. According to me, for Matchday 3, let me know which players you're going to pick from that and which players you're going to avoid. Any other teams that I've forgotten to talk about. Vinicius Jr. is an option. Vinicius Jr. is now back, and I think Real Madrid against Braga could be a very good fixture. If you want to double up with Bellingham, that could be a good idea. But let me know which ones you're going to go for, which ones you're going to avoid. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on